God said, what you sow in faith will multiply, my friend. Open your heart this morning, because what I am about to speak into your spirit is a divine principle that has the power to transform your future. If you listen closely, this message will reshape how you see your decisions, your obedience, your sacrifices, and your seasons of waiting. Heaven is declaring something over you today that will require your attention, your expectation, and your participation. What you sow in faith will multiply, not what you sow in fear, not what you sow in doubt, not what you sow in hesitation, not what you sow in anxiety, not what you sow in frustration, not what you sow in pressure, but what you sow in faith with conviction, with obedience, with belief, with surrender, with expectation. That is what God multiplies. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in silence. You have been planting seeds. No one saw seeds of discipline, seeds of prayer, seeds of self-control, seeds of sacrifice, seeds of forgiveness, seeds of consistency, seeds of obedience, seeds of courage, seeds of healing, seeds of spiritual investment. You have been sowing through seasons where nothing seemed to change, where progress felt invisible, where results felt delayed. But hear me clearly, faith seeds never disappear. They incubate, they grow in hidden places. They strengthen beneath the surface. They mature in the unseen. They prepare for appointed time. They multiply in divine timing. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you are in a season where you feel like your sowing has outpaced your reaping. You've given everything, your time, your effort, your energy, your heart, your loyalty, your prayers, your resources. And yet you feel like the return has been slow. But multiplication does not begin in the harvest. It begins in the soil. Your seed is not dormant, it's developing. Your sacrifice is not wasted, it's working. Your obedience is not overlooked, it's being weighed in heaven. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith emotionally. You chose forgiveness when bitterness felt justified. You chose peace when conflict felt easier. You chose healing when brokenness felt familiar. You chose hope when despair was knocking at your door. You chose love when your heart felt fragile. Those emotional seeds matter. They shift atmospheres. They break cycles. They strengthen spirit. They reposition destiny. And God is about to multiply what you sowed in courage. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith spiritually. You prayed when you didn't see answers. You worshiped when you didn't feel strength. You stayed faithful when you didn't feel supported. You leaned on God when everything around you was unstable. You believed when you couldn't see. You walked when you didn't understand. You obeyed when it contradicted your comfort. And heaven recorded every act of faith, every moment of surrender, every decision of obedience. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith financially. Giving when you had little, sharing when you felt stretched, helping others even when you felt unseen. supporting when your own needs felt heavy, investing in purpose instead of impulse, practicing stewardship when culture taught you consumption. And God is about to multiply what you sowed, not by your abundance, but by your trust. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith through discipline. You changed habits. You broke cycles. You made difficult decisions. You walked away from unhealthy environments. You committed to growth. You embraced responsibility. You pursued excellence without applause, without acknowledgement, without external validation. Your discipline is a seed. Your consistency is a seed. Your boundaries are a seed. Your maturity is a seed. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith relationally. You loved others deeply even when they did not reciprocate. You poured into connections that didn't honor your value. You mentored people who outgrew you but forgot you. You invested in relationships that drained instead of strengthened you. And though the wounds remain, the seeds remain too. What you gave in sincerity, God will return in abundance. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been sowing in faith through patience, waiting without giving up, waiting without losing hope, waiting without compromising standards, waiting without rushing ahead of God, waiting even when everyone around you seemed to be progressing. Your patience was not passive, it was prophetic. God was developing something in you during the waiting that the blessing alone could not produce. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. But let me speak truth plainly. Multiplication requires sowing. You cannot reap where you have not planted. You cannot harvest where you have not invested. You cannot expect increase without sacrifice. Faith is not just believing, faith is planting. Faith is taking action. Faith is doing the part God assigns to you so he can do the part only he can fulfill. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you sowed seeds in tears. You obeyed God while your heart was breaking. You followed his direction when you felt alone. You kept building when you felt empty. You kept fighting when you felt fatigued. You kept moving even when confusion clouded your path. But hear me, when you sow with tears, you will reap with joy. Not small joy, multiplying joy, overflowing joy, transforming joy. Because God measures the weight of your seed by the weight of your sacrifice. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you sowed in seasons of pain. You sowed through betrayal. You sowed through disappointment. You sowed through rejection. You sowed through heartbreak. You sowed through sickness. You sowed through pressure. You sowed through uncertainty. And God is not unjust. He will not forget your labor of love. Seeds planted under pressure often produce the strongest harvest. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you sowed in seasons where you felt invisible. No one saw your effort. No one recognized your commitment. No one acknowledged your sacrifice. No one clapped for your progress. No one celebrated your growth, but heaven saw it. Heaven recorded it. Heaven honored it. Heaven assigned multiplication to it. And when your harvest comes, even those who overlooked you will witness what God multiplies through you. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Let me speak directly to your spirit. Every seed God leads you to plant has a future attached to it. Every act of obedience has a harvest assigned to it. Every moment of surrender carries potential for multiplication. Every sacrifice that honors God returns with increase. Multiplication is not random. Multiplication is not luck. Multiplication is not coincidence. Multiplication is spiritual law. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Your seed of forgiveness will multiply into peace. Your seed of discipline will multiply into progress. Your seed of focus will multiply into purpose. Your seed of obedience will multiply into breakthrough. Your seed of sacrifice will multiply into increase. Your seed of courage will multiply into open doors. Your seed of consistency will multiply into stability. Your seed of prayer will multiply into wisdom. Your seed of surrender will multiply into clarity. Every faith seed produces supernatural multiplication. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been afraid to sow again because the last season hurt you. The last attempt failed. The last relationship drained you. The last business disappointed you. The last opportunity misled you. The last dream collapsed. And now fear whispers, do not plant again. Do not trust again. Do not believe again. Do not try again. But faith whispers louder, sow again. Believe again. Trust again. Try again. Dream again. Plant again. Hope again. Build again. Because God is not multiplying your past failures. He is multiplying your present faith. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you are afraid to sow because you want to see proof before you plant. But faith is not seeing the harvest. It is believing in the God who produces harvest. Faith is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is planting even in uncertainty. Faith is not operating by comfort. It is operating by conviction. Faith is not expecting small. It is expecting supernatural. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have misunderstood your season. You thought you were stuck. You thought you were stagnant. You thought you were forgotten. You thought you were delayed. But you are not in a season of denial. You are in a season of planting. You are not in a season of punishment. You are in a season of preparation. You are not in a season of lack. You are in a season of sowing. Multiplication begins with seeds, not with harvest. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Some of you have been faithful with little, faithful with what you had, faithful when it wasn't enough, faithful when it didn't make sense, faithful when it didn't match your dreams. And because you were faithful with the seed, God is about to trust you with the harvest. You are stepping into a season where small seeds produce big outcomes, where simple obedience produces extraordinary favor, where quiet faith produces loud miracles. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Multiplication is coming to your creativity. Multiplication is coming to your opportunities. Multiplication is coming to your finances. Multiplication is coming to your career. Multiplication is coming to your faith. Multiplication is coming to your influence. Multiplication is coming to your purpose. Multiplication is coming to your ideas. Multiplication is coming to your relationships. Multiplication is coming to your spiritual life. Because God multiplies anything surrendered to him. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. You sow tears, God will multiply joy. You sowed discipline, God will multiply results. You sowed obedience, God will multiply influence. You sowed sacrifice, God will multiply favor. You sowed patience, God will multiply acceleration. You sowed faith, God will multiply miracles. This is not a season of subtraction. This is not a season of stagnation. This is not a season of defeat. This is a season of multiplication. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply. Get ready. Get positioned. Get expectant. Get aligned. Get surrendered. Because your harvest will not look like your seed. Your return will not look like your effort. Your increase will not look like your investment. When God multiplies, he multiplies beyond logic, beyond timing, beyond expectation, beyond environment, beyond experience. This is the season where God turns little into much, where God turns obedience into opportunity, where God turns discipline into development, where God turns faith into fulfillment. God said, what you sow in faith will multiply, and nothing, not fear, not people, not circumstances, not delay, not attack, not confusion, not insecurity can stop what God multiplies.